Hey there, welcome to the Community ROI podcast. Here, senior community experts, founders, and C-level managers tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about how a community impacts business growth. By listening to these conversations, you'll get actionable steps on how to get community goals with business goals to skyrocket business growth while still bringing extreme value to community members. My name is Yurii. I help people and brands shine through communities and personal connections. And my guest is Jen Hanley, an award-winning community builder and growth strategist who's led everything from intimate founder gatherings to large-scale conferences, build developer ecosystems for global giants, and help Fortune 500 partners scale learning communities with precision. And with her energy, creativity, and execution power, Jen is not just building communities, she's shaping how they grow, connect, and thrive. So welcome, Jen.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Super happy to meet you for the first time and right away on the podcast. So let's just jump right into your professional experience. So tell me, what's your definition of a community for business?
Yeah, great question. So, to me, community is an organic living ecosystem and it's a value exchange between customers and the business. It's not a one-way street when it's done right. It's a space where customers feel seen, supported, and empowered, and then the business gains insight, loyalty, and advocacy in return. So, in other words, it's relationship building at scale for mutual benefits. Yeah.
And what's your definition of a community goal inside that?
Yeah, so I think of this actually in two different buckets. So first and foremost, we have community health goals. So metrics like engagement, growth, sentiment that show how vibrant and connected the community really is. And my goal is always to obviously have a healthy community, right? But then you also need to make an impact more than just having that healthy community with engaged posts and things like that. So then the second bucket for me is business goals. So how the community actually helps move the needle on larger company objectives like product feedback, customer retention, customer education, brand advocacy, tons more. So in my perfect scenario, a community goal is one that directly supports both of those things and marries the two.
So to this point of Marion, because sometimes people think that they need only engagement and then they do all these crazy things and they like, tell me your cat's name or tell me your dog's name, like what dog food are you buying? And then like, it's not leading anywhere. Like, yes, it kind of helps to build these connections, but still not. So how do you marry engagement with specific business results?
Yeah, so I always stress the importance of having that healthy community first and foremost, because you need a healthy foundation to start. If you don't have a healthy foundation, you're not going to get the larger results that you want. So I always look at every month what the community health metrics look like, and if an area or areas are tanking, you need to shift your focus away from that larger, big picture business impact and focus your efforts on making that community healthy so that you still, again, have that healthy foundation. So that's always number one that I always stress with the executives and my team. So making sure that they're actually aligned once you do have that strong foundation is where you're targeting specific business impact goals. So currently, for the community that I'm leading today, that looks like better business outcomes for customers that are engaging in the community. Things like, are they renewing at higher rates compared to their counterparts that aren't in the community? Are they more likely to be sold on an upsell? What's their overall sentiment? How engaged are they? And what does that mean for other departments, not just the bottom dollar? So making sure that you have that North Star and you're building your strategy around that, but then always going back to reassess to make sure that you have that healthy foundation to launch you into bigger impact.
So I feel like you've talked about like the general thing of how you are building community at the moment that you are working with. And I'm curious, what is one goal of the community you are working with at the moment, or maybe even worked before, that inspires you personally the most?
Yeah, so one that stands out that I can talk about with you today is actually our MoveWorks AI Fellows program. So I
Hmm.
currently lead the community at MoveWorks, and our AI Fellows program is really new. It's a customer-facing community initiative that brings our most engaged and knowledgeable customers together to give them a platform to learn together, to lead together, and to connect. And why it's so inspirational to me is it's very intentional. We're not just engaging with them to drive user-generated content in the community. We're creating direct pathways between customers and our internal stakeholders. So we're just launching it, as we speak. Actually, we have our first meeting this week. But for example, we have our VP of customer success coming to say hello to them, and then the next month our meeting will be with someone high up in product to come share with them first before all other customers what our H2 goals look like for product. And then we'll get into super nitty-gritty product conversations with them to hear directly what their feedback is on our product and take that into serious consideration. So it's building meaningful feedback loops and shaping our product's future together, as well as our community. I want to hear from them with what I'm doing in the community, if it's resonating with them or if there's opportunity for other areas that I might not consider. So, yeah.
What specific actions do you take to make this program alive?
Yeah, so I feel like this is where we need to be on YouTube and be like, click the link, because I actually led a whole webinar led by community on how to build a super user program. This is essentially a super user program, just called a little bit different. But essentially, day to day, I partner very closely with our customer success teams to identify their highly engaged customers. I find them on my own, but I also want to connect with their CSM to make sure that it's a good fit on all accounts. So a lot of it is sourcing these potential AI fellows and then reaching out to them, getting them to apply, onboarding them, adding them to our group experience that we have, engaging with them in the group, and then charting out those strategic monthly calls, getting different stakeholders involved so that they can come speak to them and make sure it's meaningful, primarily for the customer, but for us at MoveWorks too. And then planning and running things like mentorship programs within it. Co-created content, thought leadership opportunities, and just really making what these fellows are sharing and building and saying visible internally and externally. I essentially want this to be not just a super user initiative that gets our goals met, but a launching pad for them in their careers, because they are doing really innovative work in the space of AI and they deserve recognition for it. It's like a mini influencer program. Like they're superstars in my mind, and I want them to know that, and I want the world to know that.
Sometimes companies, they definitely know who is a super user and why should they kind of like engage with them and stuff. But for those who don't know what is a super user and why should they engage, why do you do that? Why do you care about your super users?
Yeah, so for me, it's, my goodness, I could talk forever on this, but at the heart of it, it helps us keep our finger on the pulse of customer sentiment, especially in a fast-moving space like AI. It helps us invest in our customers as thought leaders, giving them recognition and ownership. And it also helps us scale our time and effort with more impact, right? So my product team and a ton of teams, honestly, are very heavily involved in the community, doing things, answering questions day to day. I don't want to build a transactional community experience where it's like, hey, what's 1+1? And then product comes in and says it's 2. I don't want to, that's not the magic of community. Ticket deflection, take case deflection, things like that. Super important for larger communities, maybe like something that's at the size of Microsoft, for example, because it will help at that scale. We're not at that scale. That's not the bread and butter of our community. And so it's more experiential, right? Where it's like, I have a customer that wants to not ask what's 1+1, but they want to hear how they drove AI adoption with their executive team. And they want to hear from real people that did it, not my sales team, not my marketing team, real customers that had success implementing this, as just one example. And so it helps us do that in a way that we can't, right? Because we are the business that is profiting from their engagement. So yeah, I'm not sure if that answered your question. Happy to double click on that too.
Yeah, there are no short answers for anything in the community world, because we start with one thing, then you uncover, and then you go back to like human psychology or stuff like that. So once again, how does this goal align with your business goals?
Yeah, so in a couple of different ways. So first, I mentioned that you need that healthy community experience to have and prove further impact. And a super user program or our AI fellows program essentially helps scale maintaining health within the community, right? Because it's for the community, by the community. Um, and so it really helps kind of take off the pressure in a lot of ways for me as well as other teams to answer questions, to drive content. It's, I can try my hardest to become an AI expert, but AI is so technical and it's changing so rapidly that having people share content and answer questions that are doing it every day, all day for their jobs and came to us as a customer, having them drive those conversations in the community is going to be so much more valuable for them. And when our customers find value from the community, they find out about new products, they find out about different things that they can do with their current contract with us. They're going to stay on. They're going to be like, wow, this is really cool. We didn't know that. Versus if someone who's not involved in the community doesn't hear from our super users or any of the other initiatives that we're leading in the community, they might not get the most out of their experience and they might not renew as much as those that are in it.
So what I hear from what you told me is there are at least four teams. I'm not talking about the community, at least four teams involved. So there is product team because you get feedback and you can improve a product. There is customer support team because like community members are answering each other and helping each other to grow. There is marketing team because they get like user generated content and they can reuse it and like move more forward with marketing. And there is sales team and customer success. Okay, five teams and customer success because people are buying new products. They are staying longer. Like it also works for retention. So what out of those five teams or maybe even other teams, what three teams do you usually work the most with while building a community?
Yeah. So, yeah, community is so cross-functional. And if you're in a role where where it's not going well, meaning that other teams aren't willing to come to the table with you, then I think you need to take a step back and look at that culture because community is cross-functional. You need to have touch points across the entire organization. So just felt like throwing that out there, but I would say for my current role, customer success is number one. I sit on customer success as an operations team. And so the collaboration with CSMs needs to be incredibly strong. Community helps CSMs scale their work rather than, handling one-off questions or these larger experiential ponderings from their customers. They can point their customers to the community and then they are able to focus on bigger and better things. Same thing, rather than them keeping tabs on all of our different product updates and our roadmap and things like that, it can all live in the community and they don't have to keep tabs on it. They don't have to manage it for all of their different various accounts. Which leads me to product and product ops. I would say they are the number two and three. Or I'm cheating a little bit. Product and product ops are two teams, but I'm merging them into one. It allows them to get their updates and their roadmap in front of customers in a way that is organized and cohesive, especially using Gainsight and the product updates section there with the product area filters. It's so scalable and easy, user-friendly. But more than that, it also gives them direct insights into customer pain points, feature requests. It's a direct line to people using the product every single day. And then last but certainly not least, again, cheating here a little bit, marketing and product marketing. Community helps surface trends and customer sentiment for them, making campaigns more relevant and grounded. It's also a channel for sharing content organically with, I'm always like, hey, please like remove the paywall or the sales pitch. These people are already sold. You don't need to sell them on anything. Just give them the assets without making them sign their email away. We already have their email. So yeah, those are three of the teams that I work with pretty closely and kind of like why they're at the table with me. Yeah.
Do they listen to you when you tell them not to advertise in the community?
Yeah, definitely. We just had I just had a collaboration with someone on marketing where they had a ton of really, really great assets, things like that are on our public website where if you like answer a few short questions or put in your email, then you can get this like really robust AI roadmap for X, Y, and Z or whatever it is. It's like a ton of different assets like this. And They wanted more eyes on it, and I was like, yeah, this is cool. Our community members can definitely benefit from this. We're not going to make them answer these questions. So can you give it to me in a PDF? Like, can you just give me the quick and dirty? I don't want them to have to. And they were like, oh, yeah, that makes total sense. Now, if we were to open the community up to the public for end users that aren't customers, then that might be a different conversation. But it's still finding a balance, right? Because you're building trust, even if it were with just general people on the internet, not just customers.
Yeah, you've told that community is kind of like this cross collaboration partner to all other teams, and I totally agree with you because you need to understand how everything works. You need to find what are the best ways that you can get the most out of this collaboration. Still, you need people from other teams to also do something. It's not like you are going and do everything for them. Like, look how community helps you. You still need their help. So I'm curious, how do you encourage people from other teams to work with the community team and community itself without not just adding more work on their plates?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this kind of goes along the lines of my tall tale warning of like if no one's coming to the table with you, maybe reevaluate because we've all been there. Community is this mysterious thing that people seem to either get or they don't seem to get. So I'm really really fortunate in where I am, where everyone gets it. So it's a little bit easier, but I've definitely been in the position where it's like let's do some convincing. Um, so for that, I would recommend showing that community actually makes their work easier and more informed. So I focus on how they can be more intentional, they can have clear insights for their strategy, and they can build scalable programs. Um, and it allows them to be more closely aligned to actual customer needs. So what that actually looks like is using data to paint the picture. Um, not just verbally vomiting that community health metrics at them, but actual data that you can have on like our community's healthy. Here's this correlative impact that this has on the big picture. And so it's always anchoring it back to those business outcomes. So we have this healthy community. That means they're more likely to renew. That means they're more likely to spread the word via word of mouth. Um, the pitch isn't really do this extra thing. It's here's how we can help you do what you're doing, but easier and more informed. So it's honestly something that I'm working on right now because I am a fan of having all of the data. And so I kind of throw that out there in our Slack channels. And I'm like, look, this is everything that is going on in the community for the last month. But not everyone needs to know every single data point. It's more like taking a step back and building that narrative of like, okay, we had this many uh, returning visitors this month in the community. Here's what that actually means for what they care about. You're the only one probably in your company that's going to care about just the nerdy community metrics. Yeah.
It's interesting, as you mentioned, as you called it, data vomiting, because sometimes it's exactly like that. You can have a lot of metrics, but if it's not connected anyhow to what's happening in the company, to other departments, to other teams, KPIs, ROIs, whatever, like what's in it? And I've had like many conversations already on previous episodes, and people usually tell that they use a lot of mix of storytelling and data. So you can't just give them data. Here you are, like take it. No, you need to tell a story of why it's important. And usually they also use like community members' feedback to include in the story to create like the whole narrative. It's almost like if fiction book or non-fiction book, it depends, but something that people can read while commuting to the work or something like that. And it's also
Yeah.
funny and exciting. I'm curious, how do you feel about storytelling in the showcasing community data?
Oh, it's completely essential. Like I said, it's something that I'm actively working on where I'm just personally a fan of having all the data. And this is true for other teams too, that I'm not really that informed on. I want to see all of it and analyze it myself and make up that narrative myself. But not everyone is like that, and they want to be spoon-fed it a little bit more and told what it means. And people also want to attach themselves to things that are successful. So if you can show that what you're doing will have a big impact and will mean success for the company, they're going to want to get on board. They're going to want their name attached to it too.
How do you connect community metrics with other teams metrics?
Yeah, I mean, it's really dependent on what their specific goals are. So, product, for example, really cares about product adoption. And so it's like, okay, let's take a step back and look at who are our top 10 most engaged community members for different companies and what's their adoption rate for a specific product line versus people that aren't in the community. And then it's normally a positive correlation, right? And so it's like, okay, let's double down on this. And so it's really just knowing your audience and then taking a step back to look at all the data. So another one for customer success, for example, CSMs, they really care about renewals. And so it's again, let's take a zoom out and look at all the activity for your specific accounts in the community and then see what the outcome is versus your customers that aren't in the community. So for us, it is largely correlative, but we assume positive correlation equals a good opportunity to double down.
So community is not always a bright side. There is a dark side to what's going on. It's not always like win, 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 win. Sometimes there are some challenges happening. I'm curious, how do you talk internally about the challenges you face with the community?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, so many things can make challenges, right? Even just seasonality, where your executives will be like, "Why did this tank?" And it's like, "Well, it's December. Everyone's doesn't want to be online in December." Or it's like July and it's gorgeous out. Everyone wants to go outside and touch grass. And so, I mentioned with kind of the storytelling and sharing the metrics, I try to do that on a monthly basis. I pull my community metrics and business impact metrics month over month, and then do a report out on Slack. And I don't only paint a good picture. If there's something that is an area of improvement that is a challenge for me, I frame it as just that. It's an area and an opportunity for an improvement. It's not a roadblock. It's not the end of the world. I bring recommended solutions to the table, but then also leave room for flexibility and innovation. And then I connect it back to why it matters. So if we notice new registrations drop, for example, why do we care? Why should my product teams care? Why should marketing care? Why should anyone care about this? So what does this actually mean for the big picture? And how can solving it actually unlock more value for the customers and for us as a business? Yeah.
You told a little bit about the AI itself. So you help your customers to get better in what's happening in the AI world. And I'm curious, do you use AI in your community building process?
Oh my goodness, I would be lying if I said no. I feel like it's a little bit controversial, yeah, because yeah, it's very controversial right now, but there are some really good tools that I highly recommend. So first, I study and organize my ideas using some tools like Notebook LM, actually, where let's say there's a huge case study that some big company puts together for community, like CMX does their annual survey on, I don't know what it's called. I'm sorry, CMX,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
they survey a ton of different community managers, and it's like an industry report for the entire year. It's really meaty, packed of really good insights. I don't have time to read through it all, right? And so you could download it as a PDF, upload it into Notebook LM, and it will almost create a podcast for you where it's really engaging and just talk through it, right? And so that's something that I can do while I'm driving or while I'm exercising so that I'm still, able to take care of myself, but keep my finger on the pulse for all things new and exciting in the industry. Um, so it's a little bit more on the learning side, but I also rely on AI for brainstorming or building up areas where I have less technical depth. So especially in engineering heavy conversations, ChatGPT is um, my best friend when it comes to like, hey, explain this to me, like not like I'm 5, but maybe like I'm a high schooler that hasn't really taken engineering courses before. And then it's like, oh, okay, now I understand that concept and I can have a little bit more in-depth conversations. And then I'd be remiss too if I didn't talk about our own internal AI tooling, since we are an enterprise agentic AI company. We have our own AI assistant. We call it M8. I don't know if people pronounce it as mate, but M8, again, my little homie here. And we have it actually connected to Gainsight. So I can just query this bot and say, hey, what are the unanswered questions? What are the new unanswered questions for this specific forum area? And it just lists them all out for me. So it scales my time as a community manager. Whereas, in previous roles, I'm scouring the entire community to try to find and organize all of those unanswered questions. It just does it for me. And then, yeah, we're actually building a lot more use cases that I'm really excited about in our agent studio. Can't talk too much about that just yet, but stay tuned. I hope to announce those things soon.
And I also feel like AI helps you to deal more with these routine tasks that you have to do anyway, but now you can do them so much faster and focus really on finally building those relationships with humans instead of searching for something in the community.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely, it's I love writing, I love creative tasks, but different tools like ChatGPT and Claude help get a first draft going. I'm not saying that they're perfect, and you also want your own tone and things like it, but it does kind of help you think in frameworks and get that first draft. Also, emails. I hate writing emails. I'm just like, yo, ChatGPT, here's what I want this email to come across. And it's good too if you're like, hey, I need this person to do this thing, but I don't want to sound like an asshole. Can you like make it stern, but like, then it's like, here's your email, done,
Yeah, it's always good to brain dump everything you have on your mind, and then to help to have a first like raw structure, and then to like tweak it here and there, and then you have your email. I totally get. It was like when I was making monthly newsletters. It's something that I really hated. So the moment I learned about ChatGPT, like done, 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 done. So I totally get what you're talking about. Jen, I really wish to have the sky is the limit to our conversation, but time is the limit. So, the final question: what is one thing to do right away for someone struggling with identifying their community ROI?
Yeah, I mean, I have so many bullet points for this, but to try to keep it brief, one thing for them to help them identify their community ROI, I would recommend go on a listening tour in your company. If assuming you're a community manager for a company, if not, maybe like talk internally with yourself about it. But I would encourage you to go out and talk to people in your company, your executives, your various internal stakeholder teams, and ask what they care about. And how do they see community fitting into that? Because they're going to have some preconceived ideas. Probably, the ones that don't, then that's a deeper conversation than you can have. But go out and have conversations. You'll be surprised at what assumptions that they have, and then you'll hear about their goals too, and you can take that back and do some deep thinking, talk to an AI, listen to podcasts, things like that, and use that to really map out your community strategy and tie it to those bigger impact goals. So even if you are launching a community brand new for the first time, you need to get really clear on where you're going. You can't just, to your point, be like, tell us your cat's name. I mean, I would love being in a community experience like that, but that's not going to lead to any real value unless you're like Chewy or PetSmart, right? So get really, really clear on where it is you're going. And you might not know that. So that's why I'm saying, like, go on this listening tour, go talk to people.
Last but not least, name 2 people I should reach out to talk to about community ROI.
Yeah, I would say Claire Smith from Coursera. I feel, and she was my manager at Coursera. And our ROI focus for community at Coursera was the polar opposite from everything that I said here today. It was really heavily focused on A/B experiments and actually proving it without a doubt, not just a correlation. So I think that would be a really interesting perspective to hear from, because not everyone is fortunate enough to have a team that's just like, yeah, positive correlation's good enough, So definitely her. And then you mentioned this next person earlier on the call and said that you've never gotten on a Zoom with her. So Katarina, hopefully I'm saying her name right. I know I've met
Bova.
her.
Yeah.
Yes. She is such a gem. And I'm so lucky to have been on a podcast with her and got to meet her in London earlier in the month. So calling her out and get her on this podcast. She's fantastic.
That's exactly how we met, because of that podcast, because I saw it on LinkedIn and like, hey, I don't know Jen. Let's find out what we can learn from each other. So yeah. And what is the best way to connect with you?
Yeah, add me on LinkedIn or join. I'd be remiss again if I don't give a shout out to Francisco and join Led by Community. I'm more of a lurker there. I will engage here and there, speak at events, lead webinars and things like that. But yeah, find me on Led by Community or just add me on LinkedIn at my newly branded name, Jen Hanley.
Now we know that you are Jen Hanley, and you
Yeah.
kind of came out and then this community led by community conference. And yeah, I'm happy that we met. Thank you, Katerina. Yes, thank you for connecting us, and thank you, Jen, for sharing your experience, for talking so openly about how you work with the community, how you feel about community. And I really, really hope that people will listen, they will learn, and they will go and ask you extra questions. Go ask Jen questions. Do it right away. And yeah, once again, thank you very much for sharing your experience. And yeah, see you in the community world. And thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions about how the community can help you reach and overcome your business goals faster, let's connect on LinkedIn and talk about it. That's it. We're done. See you in the next episode.